Over 78% of retail traders lose money within their first year, and most assume it's because of bad strategies, insufficient capital, or lack of access to market information. The truth is far more subtle and far more devastating. It's not the charts, the indicators, or even the trades themselves that make the difference. It's the invisible timing mistakes that happen in milliseconds, the split-second decisions your brain hijacks before you even realize it. Most traders never see these patterns because they're buried in the subconscious, quietly shaping every move, every impulse, every regret. Even experienced traders fall prey to this. The difference between someone who consistently profits and someone who loses isn't knowledge or skill. It's the alignment of mental timing with market reality. You can know every signal, rule, and pattern, but if your brain acts before awareness can catch up, the market will punish you without mercy. The mistakes aren't obvious. They are hidden, and they repeat silently until the account balance reflects the damage. Alex was 24, energetic, and trading a modest $5,000 account. He had studied indicators, watched charts for months, and thought he understood market behavior. Then one morning, a stock surged 5% in 10 minutes. The moment it happened, a rush of adrenaline hit him. "Buy now or miss out," his mind demanded. Without hesitation, he entered the trade, feeling a strange mix of confidence and fear. The price climbed slightly, validating his decision, but then it reversed sharply. Within minutes, most of his gains vanished. Panic crept in. Alex tried to force recovery, doubling down in a desperate attempt to reclaim the profit, only to watch the price fall further. By the end of the day, his account was smaller, his confidence shaken. He hadn't made a technical mistake. He had fallen into a behavioral trap his mind created without warning. Maya, in her early 30s, had taken a different approach. She followed strict rules, indicators, and risk management protocols. On paper, she was disciplined, careful, and calculated. Yet when a stock paused or moved sideways, she struggled to wait. Her mind whispered, "What if the trend explodes without me?" The hesitation created tension. When she eventually entered, it was often too early, too late, or at a local top. Small losses piled up over weeks, each one chipping away at her confidence. Her frustration grew, and even following her rules felt like gambling. The market wasn't punishing her. Her own impulses were sabotaging her trades. Alex and Maya illustrate two sides of the same problem: the tension between chasing and waiting. One acts too fast, the other hesitates too long. Yet both are governed by the same invisible force, the brain's survival mechanism. Every spike feels urgent. Every pause feels threatening. What seems like intuition is often nothing more than a chemical reaction, a dopamine surge for opportunity or a cortisol rush for potential loss. The market itself is neutral. It doesn't care about your emotions. Your brain, however, interprets every movement as a personal threat or opportunity, hijacking decision-making without conscious awareness. Alex's problem wasn't entering too early. It was failing to notice the subtle physiological cues his body was giving him. His racing heartbeat, rapid breathing, and fleeting hesitation were signals of impulsivity. Yet he interpreted them as excitement or opportunity. Each trade reinforced the cycle. Every impulsive buy created temporary highs followed by frustration and regret, training his mind to repeat the pattern. The more he chased, the more predictable his mistakes became, until they were embedded in his trading behavior like an invisible blueprint. Maya's flaw was the opposite. She overanalyzed in the heat of the moment, letting fear of missing out manipulate her patience. Each second of hesitation released cortisol, heightening stress and nudging her toward premature action. Even with rules in place, she was reacting subconsciously to every tiny market fluctuation, which eroded her confidence over time. She was caught between two conflicting urges, to act and to wait. Neither allowed clarity. Her account reflected not her knowledge, but the timing errors rooted deep in her psychology. Alex's and Maya's experiences expose a hidden truth. The brain is wired for survival, not trading. Impulses that feel like opportunity or caution are primal responses to threat and reward. Chasing feels urgent. Waiting feels dangerous. Both feel necessary. Both are biologically programmed, yet neither aligns with market reality. The tension between these forces is what destroys accounts, erodes confidence, and forces traders into cycles of repeated mistakes. Traders often try to fix it with rules, journals, or strict risk management. But these tools only scratch the surface. They do not address the root cause: internal timing loops hijacked by instinct. The emotional toll is profound. Alex lost more than money. He lost trust in his own judgment. Each impulsive trade reinforced anxiety, while hesitation compounded self-doubt. Maya experienced the same invisible erosion. Even when following her rules, she repeatedly fell into internal loops she could not see, replaying the same mistakes over and over. Impulse and hesitation alternated, leaving her mentally exhausted and emotionally drained. Both of them were stuck in cycles that were invisible, relentless, and devastating. Every retail trader experiences this tension in some form. What feels like impatience or overcaution is often a neural signature of fear and reward, amplified by market movement. The mind interprets spikes as urgent opportunities and pauses as threats, triggering chemical responses that hijack conscious reasoning. Over time, these micro-mistakes compound into large-scale losses, creating frustration, guilt, and diminishing confidence. Even the most disciplined traders fall prey, because the brain reacts faster than the conscious mind can respond. The market doesn't punish the act of waiting. It doesn't punish impulse directly. It punishes the hidden patterns behind every decision. Every impulsive buy, every premature exit, every almost perfect trade exposes the invisible blueprint your brain follows without permission. Traders search for the edge in strategies, signals, or indicators. But the real edge lies in understanding and observing the behavior within themselves. Until these loops are revealed, measured, and addressed, all discipline, strategy, and analysis are only temporary shields. What Alex and Maya illustrate is a universal truth for traders. The real battle is internal. The chase versus the wait is not a simple choice. It is a reflection of primal biology, emotional pressure, and cognitive biases interacting in milliseconds. The decisions that seem conscious are often reflexive. The moments that feel critical are often predetermined by patterns you cannot see. And unless these patterns are brought into awareness and reshaped, they will continue to dominate, dictating losses while leaving traders frustrated, exhausted, and trapped in cycles that feel impossible to break. Yet the potential for change exists. The timing loops that create impulsivity and hesitation are not permanent. They can be detected, observed, and trained. They can be understood in a way that transforms the trader's relationship with the market. The knowledge exists to step out of these loops, to separate primal impulses from deliberate action, and to align internal timing with market reality. The challenge is recognizing them before they shape your account and your confidence. The invisible currents controlling Alex and Maya's trades are not unique to them. Every retail trader experiences the same hidden mechanisms. Chasing and waiting are two sides of the same coin, governed by a brain that evolved to survive, not trade. Until this is acknowledged, the tension will continue. Impulses will trigger regret. Hesitation will breed frustration. The mental loops will remain unseen, yet their consequences will be clear: in shrinking accounts, wasted opportunities, and eroded confidence. And when these patterns are revealed, the entire approach to trading changes. Timing becomes measurable. Impulses can be observed. Waiting can be deliberate. Chasing can be avoided. Traders finally see the moments that determine success or failure. This understanding transforms fear into awareness, anxiety into control, and impulsivity into precision. Once these loops are no longer hidden, the game is no longer played against you. Then it hit him. The moment he realized his brain wasn't just reacting to the market, it was creating the market in his mind. Every spike, every hesitation, every what if had been filtered through fear and desire. And suddenly, there was a new lens to see it through. AI didn't promise to predict the next price movement. It promised something far more profound. It could show him exactly how his mind was behaving, second by second, trade by trade. Alex began using AI tools that didn't tell him what to buy or sell. Instead, they recorded each micro-decision. The milliseconds he hesitated, the moments he rushed, the exact second he doubted himself. The AI highlighted patterns he couldn't perceive, his own timing errors, the subtle rushes of adrenaline that led to chasing, and the tiny pauses that turned into hesitation losses. For the first time, he could see himself trading. The mistakes no longer felt invisible. They were measurable, observable, undeniable. Maya experienced something similar. The AI flagged her premature entries, showing her which moments of waiting were actually unnecessary hesitation and which moments were perfectly timed patience. Her mind, which had always felt chaotic in the face of uncertainty, began to receive constant feedback, almost like a mirror reflecting her subconscious impulses. Each trade became data, and each piece of data became a lesson. She could finally step back from the emotional storm and observe rather than react. The revelation was simple but powerful. The problem wasn't the market. It wasn't the setup. It wasn't luck. The problem was timing. Your internal timing, shaped by fear, reward, and instinct. And AI could reveal it with clarity. The trades weren't random mistakes. They were predictable reflections of internal loops. Once Alex and Maya understood this, the approach shifted. Patience became teachable. Impulse became visible. And decisions that used to feel like gambling now felt like controlled execution. Step 1 was deceptively small. Track every impulse in real time. Not with a notebook or self-talk, but with AI-assisted tools that logged every entry, exit, hesitation, and reversal. Each movement of the mouse, each click of the buy button, each millisecond pause, all recorded and analyzed. Patterns emerged. Alex noticed that the same time of day, under the same market conditions, triggered almost identical mistakes. Maya discovered that the pause before entering often predicted her best trades. Awareness became automatic. Once invisible behavior was mapped, the foundation for change was built. Step 2 involved introducing deliberate micro-pauses. Before every trade, Alex would pause for 1 or 2 seconds, letting the AI's feedback flow through his consciousness. The pause disrupted the impulsive cycle. His mind began to notice its own reactions. That split-second hesitation, once a source of anxiety, became a signal. He didn't act on instinct. He observed instinct, and over time, instinct lost its power. Waiting no longer felt like torture. Chasing no longer felt like opportunity. They became choices made consciously, not forces acting unconsciously. Step 3 was structuring timing rules. So Alex and Maya didn't just define risk per trade. They defined precise windows of patience, acceptable deviations, and alert triggers. AI tested these rules against historical behavior, highlighting which impulses caused the greatest losses. The result wasn't rigid instruction, but behavioral calibration. Each micro-step was achievable and measurable. Each repeated observation gradually rewired their internal responses, turning reactive impulses into deliberate, controlled actions. Step 4 elevated the transformation. Visualization combined with AI simulation. Both Alex and Maya rehearsed trades under AI-guided scenarios, seeing themselves waiting calmly, executing precisely, and exiting without panic. These simulations didn't predict profit, they trained the mind. The subconscious, once a saboteur, now became a trained assistant. Every micro-decision that used to trigger loss became an opportunity to practice awareness, and every practice built automatic, reliable behavior. With these steps, the psychology of chasing versus waiting transformed. The spikes and pauses that once triggered anxiety and impulsivity became measurable events, data points for deliberate action. The mind stopped reacting unconsciously. Every decision became part of a feedback loop that aligned awareness with market reality. What once felt like chaos now felt structured. Impulse no longer controlled the account. Precision did. Patience became power. Waiting became strategy. The transformation was not gradual in the old sense. It was cinematic, almost physical. Alex noticed his heartbeat didn't spike at sudden movements. Maya noticed her palms no longer sweat at the first hint of volatility. Their emotional responses shifted from chaos to calibration. The account was no longer just a reflection of market conditions, but a mirror of internal mastery. Each trade was executed with deliberate timing, each pause intentional, each exit aligned with observation rather than panic. Behavior modeling became a natural extension. Alex could see patterns repeat not just in himself, but in simulated trades guided by AI. He began treating his own impulses as a data set. Chasing wasn't instinctive anymore. It was observable, trackable, and preventable. Waiting wasn't hesitation anymore. It was deliberate patience that respected the rhythm of the market. Maya applied the same modeling. Every past loss became a case study. Every near miss was a lesson. Learning replaced emotion. Reaction became calculation. Over weeks, the internal loops reshaped. Impulses lost their automatic power. The biological responses, once triggers for mistakes, became indicators of where focus was needed. Dopamine spikes that would have led to chasing now became cues to pause. Cortisol responses that would have caused hesitation became signals to observe. The chaos that used to dominate their trading was replaced by a calm, structured rhythm that was almost unnatural because it was so deliberate. The market itself hadn't changed. Prices moved unpredictably. Volatility remained, and trends still reversed. What had changed was the mind. Alex and Maya weren't faster or luckier. They were calibrated. They could step into a trade fully aware, respond deliberately, and exit precisely. The emotional triggers that once destroyed confidence were now data to guide decisions. Every trade became a controlled experiment in behavior. And with each experiment, mastery grew. The upgraded trader version looked radically different from the old self. Confidence was no longer fragile. Decisions were no longer rushed or hesitant. Clarity and focus replaced anxiety and panic. Every action was measured, aligned with internal awareness and market reality. The mind operated like a precision instrument in the chaos of the market. Errors still occurred, but they were small, understood, and manageable. Success was no longer about luck. It was about consistent execution of trained behavior. Alex and Maya's evolution wasn't just practical. It was psychological, almost cinematic. The fear that used to dominate, the impulses that once controlled trades, were replaced by a new rhythm. Their relationship with time changed. Waiting became a tool. Chasing became a warning. Each trade reinforced calm observation and deliberate action. The mental loops that once led to losses became stepping stones for mastery. In the end, trading wasn't about the market anymore. It was about the mind. The market provided signals. The mind determined the outcome. Once internal timing, impulse awareness, and deliberate waiting were mastered, the difference between chaos and control, losses and gains, fear and confidence became undeniable. The market didn't change. The trader did. And that transformation is accessible. The impulses, the hesitation, the unconscious reactions, they can all be trained, measured, and aligned. The mind can evolve from reactive to strategic, from impulsive to patient, from chaotic to precise. Each trade becomes part of a larger system where behavior, not luck, dictates the outcome. The chase ends. Waiting becomes power. Timing becomes mastery. If you're ready to evolve your trading mind, this is your next step. Deliberate, precise, calm, and aware. Every decision reflecting mastery over the internal loops that once destroyed confidence. Every trade executed with understanding. Every pause, every action, every exit aligned with observation rather than emotion. This is how the trader you've always wanted to become emerges, not by chasing the market, but by mastering yourself.